right, Dean Jackson in the house. Brilliant, smart dude. Getting lots of stuff covered. You need to be here. But we'll share a little bit with you anyways on this episode of Netting Up. When you're focusing on your targeting, the goal is as broad as possible, not as niche as possible. Because if it's as niche as possible, you're encountering two big issues. Problem number one, you're going to overpay for your lead. Because every time you add layering on top of that, and every time that's a niche target, Facebook's saying this person knows exactly what they want, they're going to have to pay a premium for it. Now, if you can afford to pay the premium, fine, right? But if you can't afford to pay the premium, or you prefer not to pay the premium, the broader you keep it, the cheaper your CPMs are going to be. So that's number one. Number two, the more niche you are, and again, if you're going after a local business, you have no choice but to be geographically confined. I get that. But if you're going after a bigger audience, the more niche you are, you're going to hit your ceiling and not be able to scale past that like this. This is something that people should probably note, is that like convincing education is the most expensive form of marketing ever. Like when you have to use your marketing dollars to convince somebody to go from this mindset to that mindset, people think that's what content is designed for. Hell no. Content is designed to find the people who are already in line with your content and be like, okay, bam, yes. So be careful that when we design our content, from a paid standpoint at least, the convincing education marketing is by far, hands down, the most expensive, least profitable form of marketing you can do. It could benefit long term if you have the marketing dollars to stick it through. But ideally, we want to use the paid to line up with the people who are already in line with that content. And then, I mean, if you're on the email list and whatever, now you're not paying necessarily to send an email, then you can work on the mindset change. So we just want to make sure that the content matches the market perfectly, and that it's just in line with the people who are like, yes, rather than turning the nose into yeses. There's a lot of like small things that play to bring down the cost, which is what I think everyone should do. Everyone should do whatever they can to bring down the cost. But the other side of it is, and the argument that we always make is, if you are relying on the cheapest lead to make the business work, you're only a matter of time before going out of business. What I mean by that is, like, in the world of marketing, he who can pay the most for that lead is the winner, right? Because let's say me and you are going after the exact same audience. You can pay $5 a lead, or you can pay $10 a lead. I can pay $30 a lead. It'll only be a matter of time before I buy up all your leads and I win every auction, right? So simultaneously, I think everybody's mindset here, simultaneously from reducing your cost in whatever way, shape, or form you can, the other side of it is, how do you increase the AOV and the LTV? AOV being the average order value, the LTV being the lifetime value. And it's that fine balance of reducing upfront costs while increasing lifetime costs, and that's where you're building your margin.
So much of it depends on where people know you, like you, and trust you. And we hear those words, and we often read them, though, as one thing. Know you, like you, trust you, right? You got to get to that. Like, that's the destination. But in this approach, what I look at is that going from somebody who doesn't know you to somebody who knows you is a big win. Full stop, right there. Now, if if they're just coming to know you, to now all of a sudden start pressuring them and start trying to incentivize them to make a decision now when they don't really know whether they like you.
So it's like a funnel, know, like, trust.
It's a gradual thing. Yeah, it's a building thing, right? That when they like you, you start to take in your content. They start to see, oh, I know that guy, or I know that, or yeah, I agree with that. I like this guy. And what really like means, the way we establish like is whether somebody is like us. That's really what it is. So you start to see that they're harmonizing with what you're saying, right? And somebody, they can hate you at first, or they can not agree with what you're saying at first, but they might stick around to see, because it's challenging them to think a new thought. And then they become convinced that, you know what, he is right. Or they come and build their own belief about something. And then they trust you, and then they're ready to take action. They're ready to do whatever it is that you do. So I always look at taking that long approach with it, of building. I'm in it for the long haul. And I think that a better way to measure ROI on the before unit, that I call it, of your, finding people who don't know you yet and moving them into your world, is to measure your return on your prospect portfolio rather than your EPC in the first 30, 60, 90 days. It's a far better thing. I try and get people to thinking about it as a capital investment rather than an expense that we're trying to recoup right away as fast as possible. But if I can get people to think about their investment, they're not investing in the ads, or they're not expensing the ads. What they're investing in is the capital asset of an unconverted prospect who's gone from invisible to visible. That's the asset that you have. If you generate 100 of those, that asset is going to have a higher value in 12 months than it does today. And it's going to have an even higher value in 24 months than it does in 12 months. So that asset is going to continue to mature over those times. And if I can get people to think about buying prospect bundles as if they're investing in a CD, a certificate of deposit, or a bond that matures in 12 months or 24 months, and you look at what the value of it over that long term is, that's the real mindset. So that's the second kind of big overriding mindset.
We probably all know, according to Harvard Business Review, that 95% of all purchasing decisions are made in the subconscious. And I think that branding is one of the most powerful ways to tap into the subconscious, which is sort of my purview when I approach branding. It's so much more than just a logo. It's about creating a perception that you want to own in people's minds, such that when you do have a direct response campaign, or you do marketing, or you do social media, that it causes the action, that it influences the action, influences the behavior that influences the action that you're looking to achieve. So if anything, yes, you can not do branding, and you can make a lot of money with great brand, with great marketing. It's not what you're able to make, it's what you're not able to make once the branding is dialed in. So yeah, so the 3-word definition that I use is it's a desired perception.
So I love that. Like
so,
that's a writer-downer in that sense, where like brand is not your logo, it's not your color, it's not the shoes you wear. I mean, that all maybe leads to it, and Reed can talk about that. But it's the perceived desire that you wish your marketplace to have about you and or your business, right?
Yeah, and so therefore technically you don't own your brand. It resides in the people's minds that you're communicating to. And so therefore branding is a process of creating, shaping, and influencing the desired perception that you want.
I love that.